Rahil, and I'm letting you know that one of the greatest rap albums ever recorded, ever, throughout all time, is the D.O.C. No One Could Do It Better, produced by Dr. Dre, known at this time as DJ Dr. Dre. The D.O.C., he is definitely pivotal in the NWA story because he wrote many of the songs that you heard from NWA. A lot of verses, definitely for Easy E, for Dr. Dre, and other songs. But the D.O.C., he finally got his shot to record his own album. And when he did, he put everything into this album. He was influenced by Rakim, LL Cool J, Big Daddy Kane, KRS-One, all the greats before him. And what he did was he embodied all of those guys, all the great attributes of all the greatest at that time, and he put it all into this album. Um, he and Dre, their formula was is impeccable, man. His first single, "It's Funky Enough." If you know about the history of that song, he gave Dre the sample. Dre didn't really think he could make a beat out of it. He made the beat, and D.O.C. wrote the lyrics and did it in one take. And that's what you hear to this day on the radio. "Funky Enough" was a one take. They were so much in the zone. Um, on this album, he spits so many different styles. He flows in so many different styles. His voice is perfect. Like he's able to rhyme with a level of force. And see, and this is the heartbreaking thing is shortly after this album came out, he had gotten into an accident which ruined his voice, his rap voice, his voice. So um, in recent time, he got his voice back. He figured out a way to strengthen the muscles in his voice, in his throat, to be able to at least say some words in a clear voice. It kind of sounds a little funny, but he's able to do it. But anywho, going back to this, but this album, um, he rhymes in so many different styles that predate what people are doing today. I mean, tongue twisting, double time. He does all those different things on this album. Speed rap, um, perfect, man. And I mean, and then the production. Let's talk about the production. This may be Dr. Dre's best produced album. Now, a lot of people will say The Chronic because it was a very groundbreaking, a lot of funkadelic samples and stuff like that. In this album, there's a lot of soul samples, Isaac Hayes, things like that. But with this album, not only is Dr. Dre producing at a high level, and you can hear the some of the influences of the Bomb Squad in this with panning of snares, panning of hi hats. But Dr. Dre is also scratching on this album. He's actually scratching like a DJ because he came up as a DJ before he started producing records. So you get the essence of who Dr. Dre truly is as a guy who digs in the crates. He dug in the crates on this album. With the production, it's bar none the best that you might hear from Dre. Um, Also, the implementation of live instrumentation. LA Dre and a couple other people played on this album, and also on a few songs. So, and then this album is the very last time you hear Ice Cube with NWA. The last song on here called the Grand Finale. Ice Cube's on there and his verse is crazy. Everybody's verses are crazy on here. Even Easy E, who D.O.C. wrote, of course, he wrote his verse. Um, but the D.O.C., oh my goodness, this is lyrical perfection on this album. And so to this day, one of my favorite MCs, I would say he's probably top, in my top five. He is, actually, I put him number one in my top five. I put him right next to Redman. And if you know about Redman, I'm going to talk about him on my next video. And I'm going to tell you why Redman has one of the greatest albums. But Redman was definitely influenced by the D.O.C. amongst other people. Another thing about D.O.C. I want to say, D.O.C. is responsible for the greatness that you all know as Snoop Doggy Dogg. Snoop Doggy Dogg, not Snoop Dogg. I'm talking about Snoop Doggy Dogg. Was coached and learned everything from the D.O.C. So if you listen to Dr. Dre's The Chronic, which the D.O.C. wrote on, he wrote on them songs. He wrote Nothing But a G Thing. You can hear his influence throughout that whole song because he and Snoop wrote that. Like that whole, oh yeah, the D.O.C. He would do spelling in his rhymes. Like when Snoop says it's the capital West, yes I'm fresh and double OP, D O double G Y D O double G you see. Showing much flex when it's time to wreck the mic, pop pimping hoes and cocking the grip like my name was Dolomite. That's the D.O.C.'s influence because the D.O.C. would spell out stuff in his songs on this album as well as other things he did. To bring this to a final, check out this album, the D.O.C. No one could do it better. One of the greatest rap albums ever. One of the greatest MCs and one of the greatest hip hop writers ever. To this day, Dr. Dre uses the D.O.C. as his muse. So whenever Dre's working on a project or working on music, he has the D.O.C. in the studio with him because only the D.O.C. has an ear similar to Dre where he can tell him if something is good or not. So again, the D.O.C. No one could do it better. Best rap album, one of the best rap albums of all times. Peace.